How's it going, YouTube? Jimmy Walker here again. So, when we last left off, we did the exhaust tips and we did the door handles as well as the indentions of the door. In this tutorial, we're going to start working on the rim itself. Now, the image that we used previously, it already has a rim in it. Granted, it's not an exact profile view of what we'd expect to see, but it should be close enough to work. So inside of Maya, I've already imported the image. Basically, I just went into the side view, image plane, and I imported the image. So, a few ways we can do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a poly pipe. I'm going to create one right about here. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And let me go ahead and, I'm going to scale it down. I'm going to scale it right about here. And then I'm going to take the vertex. I'm going to scale this out and scale this up. So this is set to 20 axes. You could change it to 10. That's completely optional. Let's see. One thing that I'm noticing that this actually curves up. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all these vertices in here. We're going to curve them up. Let me just frame in on those. Oh, of course you won't frame in on them. Do I have another object? I do have another object selected. You bastard. Alright, so we're just going to move these in about like that. And let's go ahead and create an edge loop real quick. Be a little bit easier in the long run. This way nothing thoroughly screws with us. So, it's just, we're going to click on these two faces. We'll click on these two faces. And we're doing this in sets of 2 since this is, this only has 5 spokes. And then we need to deselect all of these faces right here. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we're going to run into another problem because we're also selecting the faces on the other side. And we do not want that. So let's just click and drag and make sure all those are deselected. So we should have 20 faces selected right here because this would be, up here this would be 10 faces total, and right here would be another 10, so that's how I get 20. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to extrude this in. So we're just going to extrude it like that. Easy. Oh yeah, that looks great. Let's just click on the scale tool. We'll just do it this way then, since it wants to mess around. Let's go ahead and go into object mode. I actually want to move this image back so I can see what I'm doing more clearly. So we have that shape right here. Let's go back into face. And then we're going to extrude again right about here. Now you could go ahead and change the normal of these and make these flat, and that's actually what I'm going to do because I think it'd be a lot easier. So let's go and change it from object to normal. And now when we select these, it's the normal that is selected. But I need to make sure I'm selecting the right faces before I just start going in there and clicking on random buttons. So yeah, it's going to be these two faces right here. I'm just going to flatten them out. We're going to do the same thing for all of these. Let's flatten them out. There we go. Now, I know we got some of this weird shape stuff going on. We'll fix that here in just a second. I just switched that back to object, so this way it's can't think of the word. So we're just going to start moving these vertices about where they need to be. Pretty simple. Now there are numerous ways you could do this. Like you could actually select these and just scale them down like that. But the reason why I'm not doing that is because these actually have a curve to them. And you can also select every other one, just rotate them into position. I just prefer the other method of actually walking them or translating them. So that's all I'm doing. Oops, wrong one. So how are y'all doing today? I'm doing great. So yeah. Sometimes I kind of wish I had my own Twitch channel. This way, if some of y'all are actually viewing me and watching these and like actually enjoying what's going on, I can kind of like talk back to you or whatever. Y'all could talk back to me, or I guess technically I'd just be reading what's on a keyboard, or I mean on a screen, but you know what I mean. So the next thing I want to do is select all of these edges. I want to try and make these match up to where this edge is right here. So I'm just going to scale these in like so. Oops, I forgot one. I'm just going to scale all these in like so. And there we go. So now we have that simple shape that is now completed. So we're just going to come into face. Just going to come into face right here. And we're going to select every other. Oops. Those are not selected. Okay, so we got both of those. Got both of those, both of those, both of those, and both of those. Good. So what we want to do now is we want to go into the edge right here. We're just going to bridge these across. We're going to just start doing this all the way around. There we go. Look how perfect that circle is. Okay, so seriously, enough messing around. We do need to make this circle a little bit more circular, because right now it's not very circular. So we're just going to select every other vertex. Just going to scale it like that. So this way all this will match up. Let me see. Okay, so yeah, I don't have, I can go ahead and delete this edge. So one thing is I don't have, or I'm sorry, I do have faces here. If this was just an edge, I'd just click the edge, but because I actually have faces, we're just going to do it with faces. No biggie. There we go. And I knew I knew I had an extra face selected because my handle was still down here somewhere, and so that's why I went over here and deselected that one, because as you can see, if it's not centered where all the faces are, then you obviously have another face selected. Sometimes you might run into this, and it might look centered, but if you look over here, you can see that's back. So as long as this is centered with all of these, then you know you're good. And that's how I knew to basically double check. So I'm just going to move all these in. Yeah, see, I had another face selected right there, and I didn't notice it until I started extruding. And I was like, what the hell's going on? There we go. So now I can actually move all these in. Something kind of like that. You can also just use a scale tool. That's another option. And I think that's an option we really need to be exploring. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm actually going to move... Oh, you bastard. Okay. Hopefully now... Yeah, there we go. There we go, that's better. Scale this out just a little bit. Alright. And I'm not worried about this hole right here because the Honda logo will cover that. So that's why I'm not too concerned about the hole. Let's go and press 3 on the keyboard real quick and see what we got. It doesn't look too bad. Alright, so now what I want to do is I want to go in here and select all these faces. I don't want any of the faces in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start deselecting all of these. Another way you can do this, and this is probably an easier way, is just start coming through here and double click on random faces. This way you can just quickly select all of them. We're going to extrude this out. We're going to press G on the keyboard. We're going to extrude out again. And we're going to scale in just a little bit. We're going to press G on the keyboard, scale in, G on the keyboard. We're going to come down just a little bit. Press G on the keyboard. We're going to come down, G on the keyboard one last time. We're going to scale in. So now we have this shape right here. The tire, whenever you put one of these tires on the rim, it actually binds into this lip. So that's all I was trying to create, was that lip. The next thing we need to do is something. You go and create an edge loop, something kind of like that, and we just need to create it on all of these. Something kind of like this. So now we have that shape right there. Now I would say, let's go ahead and see what this looks like whenever I create an edge loop here. So that's close, but not quite what I'm looking for. There we go. So basically what I'm looking for is I want, because this actually has sharp edges on it. So I want these to try and match those sharp edges. One thing I do need to do though, I need to pull these in just a little bit. So I'm going to go into my scale tool. Now I'm not going to grab the center handle. I'm just going to grab these and try to move them in like so. Here we go. So let's see. I think these actually kind of like have like a soft curve to them. So what I need to do is I actually need to come in here. I need to create some edge loops on these. So that's why I can create. Oops. So I'm creating these right here, so that's why I can actually create this soft curve. And I don't know why I keep going to that view, but let's go into vertex now. Let's go into the scale. We're going to do it by the normal. Yeah, I was afraid of that. Component. Yeah, component will work. Scale that in. Yeah, well, that's going to be a pain in the ass. Okay, so to hell with that. Let's go back into object. What we're going to do is we're going to start grabbing all of these right here. And we're just going to, pull these out just a little bit. But then we're going to select all of these. And we're going to move these right about here. So this is the shape that you'll have. It's something real similar to this. But when you hit 3, as you can see, it gives us that nice curve that we're kind of looking for. So right here I'm happy with that. I'm actually happy with all this up here. Let's see, we need to select vertex and click on all these vertices right here. We'll need to bring these in and down. I need to bring them in just a little bit more. And we're going to pull them out just a little bit. Oops. There we go. So now we have this shape. It's getting closer. Still not quite there. But it is getting closer. Alright, so let's go ahead and we're going to select all of these. I'm going to move these over kind of like that. We're going to do the same thing with these over here. Pull these in about like that. So this should give us, yeah, it gives us that shape now. You could actually do this with all of them. I'm just trying to create the basic shape right here. So that's all I'm doing. Alright, so let me think how I want to do this. You could continue on making these sharp edges with a series of extrusions. Let me see what this looks like whenever I smooth it real quick. It doesn't look half bad. But just like sending your boyfriend or girlfriend who, a get well soon card, even though they're not sick, you're not really implying that they're sick and you're hoping they get better. You just know they can do better and you're hoping that they do. So we're going to make this better. So I'm trying to think how I want to do this. There's actually several ways we can do this. And I would normally just say, oh, we'll just create an edge loop right here and do it like that. Well, here's the problem by doing so. Let me go into object mode so you can see this. So when I come in here, you can see, there we go. You can see that this is all smooth all the way except for right there where that edge loop is. yeah, we have the sharpness we're looking for, but then we also have that error. So that's why I don't want to do it like that. Although an easier way to do this would be to take this tool right here, and we'll just start making a series of cuts. This will give us, create that one right here and then right here. Then I'll just do it right there. So now when I press 3, it's got that sharpness that we'd expect versus this. So I think that's going to be the way we're going to do it. So we're just going to work off of this edge up here. And now we're just doing the cuts. Let's see, now I need to do the next one up. And then I can cut it off. There we go. And this is basically it. Lovely. Well, that was random. So apparently my dogs are barking at something, so I will continue. I don't know what my dog's problem is. They're just randomly barking. By the way, that's my dog Iggy. She is a pain in the ass. Let's see if I can just, yeah, see, I can do it like that. No, I can't, because then that one's too far away. But I can do it like this. There we go. Now, before I get too far in depth with this tutorial will strictly only cover the wheels. So it'll be the rim and the tire. Now, I think I know what they're barking at. It's probably because the mailman just showed up. They don't really seem to care for that guy too much. And I just keep trying to tell them, but dogs, he's the one that brings us all of our bills that we have to pay. Okay, yeah, I can see why you don't like him. Oops. Went a little too far with that one. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what this looks like now. Let's go into object mode. Yeah, see, that looks a lot better. We have these points in here that kind of like give it like this little ruffled up look. That's not really even a problem. So, you could always finish the cut. Like here, I'll show you right now. I'll just click on all these edges right here. Let's see, I need the inner edges. I'll show you how to fix this problem real quick. You'll have to click on this button up here, which will delete all those. And, oops, didn't grab enough. Do the same thing here. I'm going to click on this tool right here. I'm going to select right here and right here. And all I'm going to do is just connect them with these vertices. And you're going to see how much of a difference this makes. I don't know if it's going to wow you or not, but it might. I was actually debating on making them stop right here if I want to continue all the way. And I was like, yeah, let me see what it looks like all the way. And come to find out, it kind of bit me in the ass. Oops. So basically when I'm using this, I just want to make sure that the tool glows red before actually causing the, or cutting. So anyways, see, by changing it like that, you get rid of all those little indentions. So that's how you do that. Easy, easy. I know it's not exact, but you know, you get the idea. I'm not really worried about the bolts. I'm really not. If you are really concerned about the bolts, it's I'll do it on one of these faces so I can show you. Now you can't just do it right here because it's obviously in the middle, you know, like completely in the middle. And basically is what you do is you just use this tool right here again, and you just start doing a series of cuts, like 5 or 6 cuts maybe. And this way you'd have that indentation so you could extrude it in. I usually don't do the bolts just because it's an extra detail. So it's not really a detail I would really call something to be worth worrying over. So that's just the way I look at it. So next thing we need to do is something. Let's go and create another poly pipe because, you know, we like the pipes. This one I'm actually going to go ahead and just create because why not? Yeah, right there looks good. So under height, let's go and just change that to 1.2. No, it's thickness. Thickness needs to be 0.25. There we go. Oops. There we go. So now we can just move this into place. Let's go ahead and get here into this view. I'm actually going to scale this in just a little bit. Yeah, I'm thinking right there looks good. So, first thing we want to do, actually we want to go into edge. There we go. I'm just going to select these edges right here. And I'm going to scale them in. Right where they just barely start cutting into that. Next thing I want to do is come in here. I'm going to create an edge right here. I'm going to create an edge right here. Edge right here. Edge right here. Here. And here. So now when I press 3, we have this shape. So that's getting closer. So we'll go in here to edge. And as what I'll do here is I'll actually scale this down and scale this in. I'll scale it out just a little bit. Then I'll select this edge. This one I'll scale out a little bit more. So now we have this shape. Yeah, probably just a little bit more. And maybe not so much. I'm going to select these two. I'm going to scale up just a little bit. Come over here. I'm going to scale out just a little bit. And that is our basic tire shape. Yes, that easy. So now when we hit 3, this is what we'll have whenever we smooth all the objects out. Last thing we'll create is we'll create the Honda symbol. Honda symbol is very easy. I'm just going to create something like that. Move it out just a little bit. And that just comes through here. Then all we have to do is just line it up. About like that. Boom. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this image because we really don't need it, and it'll be a little bit easier to move this into place. So the way you want to move this into place, you just want to make sure it's even. That's really it. So I'm going to line it up with this down here, make sure all these look even, and it does. So that's all there is to creating a tire, or a wheel, I mean. I'm going to move this into place right here. I'm going to go and frame in on that. I'm going to scale it up. Oops. There we go. And we're just going to click Control D. Going to move it forward. Going to select this, Control G. To move this out to about here. We're going to hit Control G again, Control Shift D, and all the tires are done. So that easy. In the next lesson, we're going to start working on the inner fenders and everything. And we'll probably move the wheels a little bit more just to get everything where it's more uniform, because this actually looks like it's sticking in just a little too far. I don't know, that might be right. I don't know. The rear wheels look good, so no, I think that should be, I think that's probably about where they need to be. We can always double check inside the front view. Okay, so yeah, I was a little off. So I'm just going to select both of these, come in here, deselect those. Just going to move these over just a little bit. Then I'm going to hold down Shift Select I'm going to do the same thing with the front. All I'm doing is just holding down shift while I select those, and the purpose of this is this way it deselects these and selects these over here. So all I'm going to do is just move these over a little bit like that. And this is what we have. So that's all there is to creating the wheels. Very easy. So let's go ahead and save it. I'm going to go ahead and reselect everything and just press 1 on the keyboard. And then I'm just going to save it one more time. So in the next lesson, we're going to start working on the inner fenders and everything. And then we'll start working on the frame and everything like that. So I will see y'all in the next lesson.